Monster Hunter World. In just 3 weeks' time, it will be a 6-year-old game. It burst onto the scene in January 2018, was spectacularly received by existing fans of the franchise, new players, and reviewers. And right now, that game is doing something absolutely astonishing and completely unprecedented in gaming. It's doing something truly, properly special. It is not a live service game. It was never designed or intended to be just ongoing forever. It was going to be a game, they were going to support it with a bunch of updates, and then they were going to be done and move on to the next game. Once the content feed was over, it was over. But it is such a spectacularly content-rich and experience-deep game that it continued to have a surprisingly active player base long after the new content dried up. In fact, it maintained a player base even after a brand new game in the series came along. But on PC alone, it maintained a daily active player base of anywhere from 20,000 to 40,000 active players after the last content drop, and remained pretty stable for years afterwards. It's hard to say what the player base on PlayStation was like, as neither Sony nor Capcom publish or make accessible those numbers like Steam does, but back in October last year, that'd be 2023, Happy New Year by the way, when I began to anticipate the astonishing event we are now witnessing, I ran a bit of a test. I did a beeline playthrough of base Monster Hunter World using multiplayer at every single opportunity on PlayStation, and that showed me it still had a very active community over there, because I had zero trouble getting multiplayer hunts going on whenever I wanted them. And as I predicted back then, when we were still anticipating the upcoming reveal of some kind for the new game, in the first week of December with the video game awards, video game adverts, why do I keep doing that? Weird. With the video game adverts, at the end of the Cringe Fest, Capcom popped up with an official reveal of Monster Hunter Wilds, the next game in the Monster Hunter series. And just as I said, it caused a massive leap in player numbers. Every single day of December after that announcement, the number of concurrently active players would rise and rise and rise. The 24-hour peak would jump up just a little more day after day after day. And it just has not stopped and shows no sign of stopping. Back in October, when I made that original video, there was already a comparatively slow rise in players going on, with 24-hour peak on the day of that video at 32,700 and ticking up slowly day by day. But now, we've got an extra 100,000 players that are kicking along on the 24-hour peak concurrent player numbers on Steam alone. That is insane for a 6-year-old game, with zero new content, by the way. It's unheard of. And it's only going to get more nuts, because while a bunch of Monster Hunter passionate content creators have already also helped push things along with our own series of #ReturnToWorld fresh playthroughs on new saves to re-experience the game all over again while we wait for Wilds to come along, now all this fuss around it has attracted the attention of other, even larger, non-specialist content creators who want to ride on the coattails of this trend and hop on board the hype bandwagon that is Monster Hunter World right now. Streamers like Asmongold. I'm betting you've at least heard of him if you're here, so I'm not going to do his bio. Suffice to say, he's very large, very successful, and now he's trying out Monster Hunter World for the very first time in his life. And he's bringing his many, many, many thousands of viewers with him. I've been watching his VODs on YouTube, not the live streams, and it's part awesome seeing the game through such fresh eyes in today's context, because he really doesn't have much context at all for Monster Hunter. He keeps making really weird comparisons to other games he's more familiar with that I would never have thought to make the comparison to when I was first experiencing World. It's very strange. It's very strange to hear him sort of connect unexpected dots. But it's also infuriating because Asmon's got Asmon, and that means making assumptions, ignoring the game dialogue, text and tutorial hints, and doing so either deliberately just to get a rise out of people because that's his shtick, or just because he's wired that way. I can never tell. He plays straight so very, very well. But, he will get hit or he'll die from being on fire or something, and people will tell him in chat, hey, no, this is why you died. You were at full health, but you're on fire. It was causing tick damage, and he'd be like, no, I died. I don't feel like that's why I died. Just, dude, stop. It's infuriating. But the worst of it is his chat, though. They are constantly giving him utterly contradictory advice on super simple stuff. He'd be like, hey, can I cut the tail off this monster? 50% of the chat would say yes, 50% of the chat would say no, and nothing helpful would be done in his chat. It is utterly infuriating. So if you're going to do what I do and watch his stuff, try and ignore his chat. They are terrible, stupid, poisonous It's just one of the worst live chats I've ever seen in action. It was just, ugh. But poor Asmon, he's got a pretty uphill battle now learning this somewhat notoriously tricky to penetrate games systems UI with a chat like that. I mean, I myself bounced off at 3 separate times before Monster Hunter World finally clicked for me, and I've been deeply hooked ever since, but yeah. This recipe we've got going on right now, with one of the best, most respected games ever made, utterly free of pay-to-win crap or sleazy DLC or subscription models or gacha systems or any number of other shit developers think they have to cram into their games to drive engagement over the long term. And here's Capcom effortlessly gaining hundreds of thousands of new players to a 6-year-old game with 0 new content, all because people are excited about the new one that is coming along a year away, more than a year away still. And because they know it's good, they know it's not manipulative, they know it's not crap, they know it's not filled with garbage. Pay attention, developers and publishers especially, that force your developers to put the shit in. Listen to what these hundreds of thousands of players are telling you about what we want our games to be and how eager we are to keep playing them, so long as you just make them good. Old players with hundreds or even thousands of hours in it already are coming back for no other reason than excitement and enthusiasm. New players are coming along with them for the ride. Newer players who came in with a series with Monster Hunter Rise are now trying World. Content creators having great success in sharing our new fresh playthroughs. Content creators who have never ever played the game before in their lives are getting 500,000 views on replays of 2-day-old streams. The second wave of Monster Hunter World hype and genuine community passion and enthusiasm is simply astonishing. Nothing like this has ever happened before. I'm 45 years old. I've been a gamer since I was like 3. I've never seen anything like this happen, ever. It is remarkable. And Capcom have done nothing more to provoke this than a few social media posts with hashtag Return to World in it to celebrate something that was already in motion from the community. It was only 2 weeks ago that I made a video on the initial surge that the Wilds trailer provoked 2 weeks prior to that video. And even then, surprised as I was by how fast it was rising, even though I did predict a player surge, it eclipsed my expectations of how quickly it would gain new players, or returning players. But even that wasn't breaking 100,000 players yet, and now I don't think anyone would be shocked to see 150,000 players, 200,000 players within a week or two by the time the month is out. And of course, it doesn't hurt that the game is on its deepest discount in history right now, making the sort of barrier for entry for anyone even mildly curious about it just very frictionless indeed. Speaking personally, I am as addicted to it now as I ever have been, and have been very much enjoying my own fresh save file, playing a weapon I've never played before in World, replaying my way through my own hashtag Return to World, both at my own time and on my live streams over on Twitch. In fact, by the time the sun sets today, as I'm recording this, I'll be crossing the 100-hour line in that new save file, and it's only a few weeks old, goddammit. In fact, I just did the math. I just stopped recording to do the math. Turns out it's averaging about 4 hours a day. Some days are many more hours than that. It is crazy. So let me know what you all think about this. Where do you stand on it? Where have you come in? Were you an existing player, new player, curious player? Have you been watching people like Asmongold play their way through it? Let me know down below. I am Bloody. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you as always to the patrons scrolling up above there. And I will catch you next time. I'm going to get this edited, and then I'm going to play more World. Try and stop me. I dare you.